Moise, how are you, Moise?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So, what's the
Okay.
time there, Moise?
Right now it is 10:55.
Oh, okay. And when is your exam again, please?
It's December 8th.
Oh, that's only 4 days.
Yes, so
Okay, how did you get ready, and how you want me to help you?
I've been studying on my own too, and then just like looking over code and stuff, but for some reason the professor uploaded a review file today. So we have a class group chat and we were all confused why he waited so long to upload it. But he uploaded a PowerPoint today, so I'm gonna send you that right now.
Okay. So, what is inside it?
Inside it is just review code and some problems that we can look over.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, let's see.
Okay. Let me know when you receive it. It's PowerPoint file.
Final review. Okay.
And then if you want, you can put it on your screen as well. We can look over it.
So you want to share it from your own screen? You can.
If you want to share it, and then we can both look over it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, that's quite long. Are you sure? I mean, didn't you send something similar before?
So
Or
I
it's
sent,
new?
I sent like so he told us like some topics that would be on there. So I sent those. This is kind of like a combination and a few new things.
Uh-huh, okay. That's interesting. Okay.
So I
Yep.
haven't since he uploaded today. I haven't been able to look at it too much, but I was wondering if you could talk about it today.
Yes, sure. Let me share the screen. So, okay. But again, because we don't have much time, let me first. I mean, let's try to prioritize things. So, which topics that you feel that you are weak in, so that we focus on it here first, because definitely the time is limited with us. So
Hmm.
uh, if I spend time going from the start is things that you have been solving questions on from long periods.
So
That
okay, yeah.
so you
Yeah.
have to tell me which one is more difficult, and
The
then
areas,
we put it in
specific
priority.
areas.
Yes.
Okay, so I would say more of like the basic code stuff, like all of the init and all of the variables, all of the basic stuff makes
Hmm.
sense to me now. Like I'm talking about that kind of stuff. So I think the issue is not issue, but something I need to focus more on is some of like the testing and the modules.
Yes, I believe yes. So what about so testing? Yes. Exceptions. How is exceptions with you?
Exception, I'm like good with the concept of it. I understand how to write it for the most part too, but
Okay, good.
I believe that's another area we can also cover. So exception, just for review, of course. Exceptions, testing, unit testing, I mean, and
Okay. What about yield?
so if
So
you can,
mhm.
I'm looking from this. I think starting from the second half of these slides, first half is like first 20 something slides are pretty easy. Around slide 24 and below is areas I believe, like these are just examples, or areas that I believe that we could focus more on.
Okay, so yes, I understand that, and this is great. So just let me confirm. So FIFO, LIFO, and priority queues is okay with you?
Like first in, first out, last in, last out.
Yes, and the priority queues, yes. So
Priority. I don't.
you, uh
What were you gonna say?
so what are you okay with them? Do you are you able to write a code for them?
Um, Probably not.
Okay, so yeah, I understand what you're saying. So just let me understand first one thing. Do you know polymorphism very well? So just because I know this point you have asked me before we move to slide 24, like you mentioned, just open slide 13 and tell me what could be the answer here. Do you want me to explain things here or how?
I think I can figure it out. Give me 1 second. So
Yeah,
let's
sure.
also see. So, okay. So the first output would be the meow. The second one would be the boo boo.
Okay. So okay, I accept that, and maybe your professor will accept, but I'm not very sure. There must be. I mean, if we talk about coding, if you try to write this code will have a problem. But maybe if he asks a question like that, maybe I'm not sure it's a mistake or an intended mistake or it just trying to make you understand the concept. So the concept here, the problem is actually on this kind of code, make sound. So make sound here. So you call make sound, right?
Huh?
And you take the type, whatever type, and then which is an object, and you call the sound method on it. So the sound method is defined here in the cat,
Yeah.
and there is no problem with that. That's why this one will work.
Yep.
But when you come to Bo, so that typically does not have a sound object. That does not have a sound method. It have an audio sound method. So okay, I would accept that audio. I mean, if we're talking not so strict, yes, audio sound can be a version of sound, but there is nothing in the code that tell me that.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
if I take this code exactly and try to run it, it will not run. Why? Because there is no sound method in the bow object. So if you try to on B is a bow object, and so you come here and you pass it here, you're not able to code sound object. There is no sound
Yeah,
method here.
I see. I see.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
in my opinion, if you try to run this code, it will not run.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know. I see now too.
okay, and but does he really mean that? That is, or he only just testing your understanding in general? If you're testing your understanding, okay, maybe yes, like you say, you are able to print this bobo. But
Yeah,
if you try to run the code, it will not run. So
yeah,
it will cause an error. There is no sound object. There is no sound method on the bow object. Okay, is that
yeah.
clear to you?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, good. So now let me move to slide 24. Um, and what about guessing game? Let me see. I think there is nothing serious here. Um, okay, so again, I told you that before, and I still see that. Sorry, I have should. So I still see that this code is not corrected. This code have a problem.
This
So
is supposed to be correct, but you think it's still wrong?
yes, this is
Okay.
this is this code is wrong. Why? Because you cannot put the accept um, you cannot put the accept this way. If you try to run that code actually in a real compiler, it will not run. You have to put the else here first.
Okay, I see.
Okay, and then you try to put the except. The except should come here. Okay.
That makes sense.
Um, and other than that, it is fine. So we go to 24, like you mentioned. So this is the GUI.
Yeah, GUI, it's not, I think we've been reviewing this recently too. So I mean, we can keep going through.
It's up to you. If you want me to go through it fast, yes, we can go through it fast. But the key here, uh, how is your exam? You're going to have uh, you
We're
have
gonna have a multiple choice portion and a coding portion.
and the coding portion. How much is the weight of that? So how many percentage you have on the final degree? Is it 50-50 or
I believe it's about like 60-40.
60 to the multiple choice?
Yes.
Okay, okay, that's somehow relieving. Okay. Um, so you want me to go through?
But even though last time the coding one wasn't too hard.
It wasn't too hard, but it does have some tricks that unless you're running, you're writing, your hand is always writing code, then yes, okay, you will be able to figure the tricks very fast. But if
Uh,
you have only 45 minutes or 1 hour just to figure tricky things, I think it will be tricky.
yeah.
This is the only thing. But yes, if you try to practice a lot,
Uh-huh.
okay, then there is a chance, yes, you will be able to figure things out. And multiple choice, even if you try to guess right and left, maybe.
Usually I have multiple choice. Like I did well on those last two exams. So I mean I think like I usually study a lot like towards finals. So I think I think I'll be good.
Okay, so what about? So did you have exams before on the exercises? So do you have a coding? I never see your exams before, so I'm not able to say anything. So
Yeah.
how about your your how to say uh, your results on a coding exercise?
Uh-huh. Usually for all of these assignments I'm getting like 10 out of
Not
10.
not not, not as an assignment. I'm talking. He didn't test you before for
Oh,
he did,
we've had one exam.
which is a midterm.
Yes.
Okay. And how was your coding results?
The coding I got like a B, 80%.
80%. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but he didn't give you quizzes or even
But he gives like weekly quizzes. Usually I get like 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
okay, is a coding?
No, they're usually multiple choice.
Okay. Okay, so he's not putting too much emphasis on the coding. Okay.
Sometimes like in the quizzes there'll be like one coding question, but it's usually just like one method. They'll give you like the whole code. So the quizzes for the most part they're not like really hard either.
Okay. Okay, I understand. So let me see then. Uh, okay, so to me, let me try to get you through the tricky parts here, so that also we don't have time to waste. Um, so there is. Let me see. Um, he said in the he said uh, 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 so when he speak about test topics, he didn't mention JSON at all or even API calls, which is good. Okay,
Uh-huh.
but he mentioned something about yield and irritable objects. So I believe this something could be tricky. Let me see here if you have anything here. Okay, so that is, I think, tricky because we didn't use it much. So I would, yeah, again here. So yeah, of course, part of it is dictionary comprehension, and of course the generator expression
Uh-huh.
and the yield. Yeah, like I said. So do you first?
Can we go over the yield right really quickly?
Yes. So tell me, do you understand or do you remember anything about the yield?
I don't actually.
Okay. So let me share that with you here. Okay. So the thing here that consider the yield. Do you still remember that we have something called range? You still remember that?
Yes.
When we make a for loop using
Yes.
range? Okay.
Yeah.
So when we use a range, it provides us with a list of numbers, right?
Uh-huh.
Based on our based on the input that we give to it.
Yeah.
And yield is not so much different. So but it doesn't give us numbers just straightforward, same like the range. So if you have a range, typically you write a range like that, and then for example you use 5 and it keep giving you numbers from 0, 1, 2 and 3 and until it reach 4, if you can remember. So
Uh-huh.
the yield is something like that. So when we have a method that's called next square, so it take a number here, and then the while loop keep running, and he put a yield here. The yield here is actually providing us with the numbers, but that have certain specifications that he decided here. So that is acting typically like a range. So if we put here a for loop like that, I in range, okay? So if we replace range and we put next square that contain a yield, so the yield here, or the next square that have a yield, once it come to the yield line, it
Uh-huh.
will actually provide us with a value. The value is decided by the I to the power of 2. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so I will start with 1, right? So the first thing that will appear to us, it is a 1. Okay, 1 to the power of 2 is 1.
Uh-huh.
So number, the first value that will come out of the next square is 1.
Okay.
The next time he will increment I to become 2, and
2.
then he runs the loop
2.
again. So 2 to the
2 to the
power of
power of
2
2.
is 4.
Uh-huh.
And then this becomes 3, so it becomes 9.
Yeah.
So
16. Okay.
the point here is that the yield allow this next square method to stop execution at once it reach here, and then it will stop execution here, and then it will provide the number that is resulting from the yield
Oh, okay. I
here.
see. That makes sense.
So it means that okay, first we will run the for loop, next
Oh,
square,
this is exactly the same thing as a range. I see how.
exactly the same concept. So
Okay,
it
that
will
makes
just
sense.
stop executing here and then provide us with a number. We print the number,
Yeah,
then continue execution again.
it's the
And then
same thing as range. Yeah, I see.
the point here is that he will
Uh-huh.
ask you a question. So what if, so okay, what will stop the yield? It will stop, the one that will stop the yield, the condition here, while I less than limit. The
There's no.
limit is the
Oh,
one you
okay. So
decide.
over here is just gonna be 10. It's the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay, makes
while
sense.
I is less than 10, then we will continue running and providing numbers.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, that makes sense.
but what if you remove that line? It will
Then
run forever.
it will stop.
It will never stop. Okay. So the only way to stop that is that you have to test something here and put a break
Yeah.
somewhere here. Okay. because if you continue, it will never stop. There is no way to stop that. So I will always will remain 1, and the limit will never be reached, and then you will continue running. Okay. So
Yeah.
the only way is if you have to put the if statement to make a break. So if maybe you already printed maybe 10 lines, okay, you make an if statement. If you printed 10 lines, after 10 lines or 10 executions or 10 numbers produced, then break.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, that is how yield works. Let me see here if I provided you with exercises. Yeah, somehow just, yeah. So what I mentioned to you now is actually, so he's telling here, this is a kind of 2 exercises that is provided here. So what if you want to provide infinite generator? So he will ask you to modify the next square function to be an infinite generator by removing the limit condition, okay? And use a different method to limit the iterations of the for loop. So you can do that, like I told you, by putting a break in the for loop. And that can be done. So now he's telling again, another exercise that you can do is to, after the next square function, to yield squares to only odd numbers.
Okay.
So print the odd squares up to a certain limit. So okay. So if you look at that code here, tell me what do you think we can modify to be able to make that next square only yield odd numbers, not even numbers?
Or you can do like simple, like a modulus sort of thing in there, and then print out.
Yes. But tell me how to do that. So
Um,
we can put here some kind of if statement, right?
yeah.
Okay. So if
That equals divided through. If I
uh-huh.
is per what is the thing modulus again? Is it percent?
We can do like that. That's
Yeah,
one way. Yes.
and then it's for 2, right?
Yep. So this need to be equal what?
Equals 0 or something, right?
So yes, it's true. Equal 0. But there is another. So yeah. So one way to do it like that. Yes, you are correct. If we put here 0 like that, that's one way. And let me see. Another way is that you just don't put that at all. So if you put 0, no, let me discuss this first. So if you put that 0, so it will, and then you should put the yield line here or after the else.
You put
So
the new line with the if, right?
so okay, when it is 0, when I modulus 2 equal, the remainder is 0. So it is an even or odd.
When what did you say again?
So when we make the modulus with 2 and it is equal 0. So if I if I equal 1 and okay,
You
and
want the thing to print odd number out, right?
yes, so we should put the yield here or here.
After the if.
But if you put after the if, then it will give you even numbers, not odd numbers.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. That makes sense.
Okay, so you have to put it here. So to be able to make it readable, I would say you have to modify the if statement a bit. So can you advise me how to modify it a bit so that we don't have, because if you put it here, it will print the even. We want to print the odd only. So, or want to provide only odd numbers. So how to modify the if statement in a way that allow us to write the yield line here.
If equals um,
Mhm.
no
So
is
one way is to say one equal one, which means it's not even, or sometimes also it's acceptable to even leave it like that, because why? When you leave it like that, it means that it's not zero. So the if statement will only execute the line here if this is not zero. It this so one, so zero means false. Okay, if the output of this expression is zero, it means false. If it is one or a non-zero value, then it means that this is true. This will evaluate to true. So
yeah.
you want the output of here. So when you put zero, you specify that this condition,
Oh,
you
so you just leave it?
if you leave it, then when it is odd, this value will evaluate to one. So it means that it is true, and it will run this line.
Okay.
Okay, so only if you leave that. Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
or if you are confused, also no problem. Just put when it is equal one.
Uh-huh.
Also can, it's
Yeah, I
possible.
was thinking that too.
So again,
Yeah, I was thinking you could also put one too. You're right.
yes. It is both are okay, because I see why I'm telling you and that you can leave out this, because certain lines of code that he provided you
Uh-huh.
in the syllabus, he used the same concept. So typically he might come to this might come out in some of the questions. Okay, that's
Yeah.
what that is the main reason I'm telling you this. So this is a trick. Typically it's not readable trick, and we don't encourage to use it in the normal typical programming, but since he's
Uh-huh.
putting already in the syllabus on the exercises, you might see it in the exam. Okay,
Okay.
okay, perfect. So that is about yields, and we can go back to your, so yield is done. Now generator expression.
Generator, just a module?
So it is something somehow similar to the yield, but slightly different. So let me go first through the dictionary expression, because this is something similar to the dictionary comprehension.
Okay.
Um, do you still remember list comprehension?
Is it like it's kind of similar to this, but with list, right?
Yes, exactly. So okay, um, let me see. I want to give you what? Yeah. Okay. Does this form make sense to use what you are seeing in my screen? This kind of line.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yes, long time ago. Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
So we have to close and open again.
Okay, sure.